Hi. So let's continue. Look. So there are two types of applications before a decade back, whenever now for many startups they used to have the online appearances, right? They used to buy a small domain, these things, and what are all the things they are doing. They used to do on a static application and try to work on it. So the application might be completely static and completely dynamic, but you can have a mix of it, like these things. One second, let me share. You have seen now about us page, right? That is the Airbnb static HTML page you can take. Now when you are seeing the home page where, see, now you see homes in Pondicherry, or I will click on Airbnb. Now this is the home page. So this is the dynamic. Why dynamic I am saying means the data what you are seeing here, right? Like see states in this. These are all like coming from the database. The data is loaded from the database. So then when comes the loading of data and then loading into the web page, now there comes the application server. Okay, so it might be a very important question, what is, okay, interview question also, what is web server and what is application server. Okay, you can easily say like web server consists of static data, whereas application server, you are contains the data is loaded from the database, then it is showed to the like front end team in the browser. So now it needs the application server. So the Airbnb, you have seen both the static page where it comes from the web server and dynamic page where it comes from the application server. Okay, now these things are clear. Now let us see in detail how the request things and flow. Now can I erase it, or anyone, can I erase, or shall I can I, or anyone making notes means I will keep this open. Okay, right, sir? Okay. uh, so like this is the general idea. Okay, I feel that whenever you are working on any development, right? uh, I feel you need to have these ideas so that later on bigger picture, like understanding a bigger picture. That's it. Now I will draw. So here the request you are requesting. Now it will go here. Here request comes now up where up. Now in between there is application server. Okay, here the application server is there. Request is gone to the application. How I am telling the request has gone to the application, where I am trying to fetch products slash 2, which is the get request. Okay, get request. Now application server. Now here you are written an API like okay, in the main.py or somewhere uh, the API is there. Now it's the job of the API. Okay, so here it's the job of the API. Now this is in the Python thing. Like now Python thing will try to communicate with the database, and here comes the ORM picture. Like the Python script ORM try to communicate with the database. Um, okay, these things you are not yet heard, but DB, here it will come DB fetches and DB gives back the response now. Okay, response. You have seen in the last tutor, right? We were able to create the response. Here it will come the response. Then the request goes back to the browser or the tool. This is how the things happen. Okay, while working with a web application. So this is the minimum things to be known. So someone says like, see, as a fresher, many guys will try to confuse. No, I feel like like a diagram. If you understand right how the things flow, then later on you can question yourself like, okay, in which part we are spending more time, right? So in the Swagger dog, through the Swagger docs only you are giving the request. Okay, here in the fast API, the code is here. The server what you are running is the application server. The database we have not yet connected it, but later on classes will try to connect with the DB. So the things like request comes where through the API, like through the application server, the API what you written, the API's responsibility is to communicate with the DB, get the data, data is coming back to again to the response, and then through response model of that in particular API, you will generate the response and give it back to the whoever the request has been sent. Okay, here the request might comes from like, see, the request might be might while working I'm telling might be from browser or tools like Swagger. Okay, yes. So the request might be anywhere. Okay, this is the exact flow how the behind the scenes the things are happening. In detail flow we will go through once we are done with the CRUD operations everything, but like these terms you at least you be aware of. Okay, so uh, did you guys, okay, did you guys got it now, how the things flow, request and response happens, how the things works behind the scenes and all. uh, if I want, you guys want me to, okay, I will try to draw here like arrow mark so that from where application server API DB response request everything happens. So try to take down this diagram. Okay. Yes. Yeah, it's just an overview of our request and response. So now, what are all the application we are running in the fast API, right? The same thing is happening now. There is no database in it, but the request and response is within the thing, because the request we are using the Swagger tool. Okay, DB connection we have to do it in the further recordings. Actually, today I used to do it, but since I have some other things to do also, but we'll try to connect now the database. Okay, so now let us start. Open the terminal now. Okay. So fast API icon project here. Okay. So here only we need to activate fast hyphen project slash bin slash activate. Okay. Here, first project, UNLS. Open the code. It is the Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now, okay. So let's use ChatGPT. Okay. Here is the like now. So this is the main.py. Everything here it is doing. So now we will do the pip list. See, now there is no SQL alchemy for DB connection. Okay, for DB connection you need a SQL alchemy for this. Okay. Okay. So now you have to install SQL alchemy for the DB connection. So for the DB connection, I please forgive me. So SQL Alchemy is the one. So we have the all the dependency. Now go ahead, let's go ahead and install SQL Alchemy. Pip install. Pip install. So now we are done with the first step. Now the second step. Okay. I will try to remove everything. So from fast API import fast API. Okay. From fast API import fast API. Also we need depends. Depends you have already seen, right? Now you are from SQL Alchemy. From SQL Alchemy you will import create engine, and if you are creating any table, right, you will import columns and the data types. Majorly we use in integer and string. You are keeping it to integer and string. And from sqlalchemy.orm you are importing you are doing declarative base. Yeah, you are creating a declarative base and session maker and session. So what are all the things we will see in detail? Session Okay, you will create a session maker. Session maker. Also what you will see, you will see the session. Okay, so now what, how the things flow. Here you are doing here DBS, you are doing this is the SQL slash create here. Then you will try to create an engine session locker where auto commit bind here. This engine you are binding it here, and the base class for anything we use there, like base model, right? In the DB you will using declarative class and base model here. So this comes through ORM, declarative class. Here ORM, what is an ORM? Anyone knows what is an ORM? Any idea about ORM? If you have worked in any other frameworks, there the ORM things might they have taken, right? Please comment. If no means, I will try to explain in detail. So ORM, getting to know of ORM also is very much important. Okay. Uh, what is an ORM? Why we are using it? Any idea previously, guys? Any idea? Anything? If you know, please try to answer. Otherwise, no, no, no. Because ORM. So assume like you are writing a Python code here, right? Python code. How SQL will understand, right? That doubt will come, right? We are writing a okay, we are writing a Python code. How goddamn SQL will understand? Like you are trying to hear, like some suppose dot create. You are trying to do it. Like okay, say so. What is the thing now? So select. So what here, like insert into product, right? Into product, and there will be fields like now. This is the SQL query. So from this to this, it is the ORM which is trying to do this under the hood. Okay, it is called as object relational mapping, where all the classes all the classes are mapped to the tables. All the class attributes are mapped to the table columns, and all the classes instances means objects, instance objects are mapped to the table rows. This is simple as that. Now it is the ORM which is trying to communicate with the database, and it will try to create it. Okay, but try to understand deeper. So I'm telling like this will work. I will try to explain here in detail how the things happen. Now let us establish the database thing here. Okay, there, this is the database URL, and this is the name of the database. You can keep it anywhere, anything. Okay, let us keep it as todo.tv. Okay, and now let us create this engine. create engine, database URL, and connect args, args. Here check same thread is set to false. Later, while preparing uh, discussing at the end of 2-3 classes, we'll discuss detail about this. And session local, here you need a session maker. Okay, session maker auto commit false, and do auto flush false, and bind the engine. Okay, here I'm binding the engine. So SQL Alchemy, from SQL Alchemy dot you have to import a SQL session, and these things, these are all coming through ORM. Okay, so you have to understand, okay, we these guys are you used for the database communication. Okay, then now base equal to declarative base. So now this ORM, how the mapping this happens. So how I have assigned it to the base thing here, right? Declarative base. So now the ORM things flows. What happens is now you will create a class. Okay, you will create a class called user. Now you are inheriting the base, right? Inheriting the base. Now you are telling the table name. See the table name. What should be the table name? It is users. You are telling here. Okay, through ORM you are trying to do it. Okay, now what are all the columns? Has to be ID. Okay, column. What is the data type? Integer. Do you want to set it as a primary key? Yes, I wanted to this as to be a primary key, which is set to true, and I have to index this field. So true. Indexing everything we'll see later. We'll see too much later. Okay, but okay, name column, and now this is a string, and I want to index it. Yes, I am interested in indexing it. Okay, now email. Email. Okay, I want. Okay, so here this is also string, but here I want email to be unique, right? Email, there is no way email, two emails are identical, so I'm telling unique as true, and index true. So now this is the where you are telling all the base meta. Okay, why this? um okay, here you will tell base dot metadata dot create underscore all bind equal to engine. Here it will create the tables. Okay, this part of code. Now you are trying to establish, you need a DB connection, right? Now get DB. Here you will use dependency injection. See, DB equal to session local, which the one here you have created it. We are calling that method, and here you will use try and catch. Try yield, yield DB, and finally you are closing that particular DB thing. Okay, here there is one thing, right? You are not returning it. You are not returning. Instead, you are using yield. So what will yield do? Whenever the request response completed, right? Whenever the request response completed, yield will yield clean will do the cleanup. So whenever there is one connection, DB connection is taken. Okay, DB connection is taken from the connection pool. You will get don't know about in detail later. So one DB connection will come, perform the uh, request response. Once that API things are done by DB close, right? That DB connection again goes back to connection pool to tell that I am available. Okay, so like 20 20 members are there. Uh, 20 members are there. Like a connection pool means you are telling like you are keeping 120 security um, guards or 20 members. Their only job is to get the products for you. What are all the requests? What are all the things you are doing? Uh, so one guy, one delivery agent, like 20 delivery agents, and are there in a store for me. And one customer comes and he asks for one detergent. So in amount 20, one will come and complete this service for one particular customer, and he will go and again sit. So telling that I am again available. If he is if he is not in the chair, we are assuming that now it is 19 like. So uh, using this yield, this purpose is served here. If you return means, if you use return here, if you use return keyword means that DB connection is not closed. DB connection is not closed means after serving to the customer, right? That guy is not seen in the seats, available seats. So we are assuming that delivery agent is still serving that customer. In fact, which is not. So which will have an impact, right? Because so among 20, if you receive 120 customers again, and again there is increase means what are overall were went for serving, right? Again they are not returned. So to again they are not released, they are not free. So to make them free, you use yield. Okay, I think you got it. So now this is what it is doing, yield here. Now here these things you have seen here, where now you will try to create those KPIs. App.get I so I have already scheduled set backslash with nothing means it's the home page. So I'll create a method. So here we will return a message uh, telling Fast API is working with SQLite DB connection. It's working with SQLite DB. Okay. Now you will go ahead and try to create APIs. First, we will try to create post API users. Here, def create user name str email. Is an str again. What are all the fields you have taken? Name and email. Here, next thing you keep db equal to session db colon session equals to depends. So depends get db. So now this using depends means before going to this method you have to run this get db. Okay, and in get db you are trying to run this session maker, and then you are calling a create engine. Understood how the communication is happening. So you are using dependency to call this method, and in this method you are here session call this method. Here you are trying to create an engine. So for every time when you any API, for any API call, this this method is run, means every time the create engine is called, okay, to establish a connection with the database. This is the main important thing to understand. Now you will go and try to create a user user and name equals to name, and email equals to email, and what are the db dot add user and db dot comment. See, this one will tell us that the data is guaranteed, guaranteed saved. Data is completely saved into DB. Okay, it is guaranteed saved. Then we will do a DB refresh of that user, and you are returning a user. Okay, these are all the things are happening. Again, I will create an get API for it. Your users here, get all users, and here also you will, now name is not it, but you need a connection. See, yes. So for any API, you need this. Okay. So that's why dependent. Now this session thing, this session local is, this session is now getting important, right? Okay. That's what. One, you are connecting the dots here. Session local equals depend, and you are calling the get DB. Okay, here you will return db dot query and user dot all. So, and since you are using ORM, it will try to connect select star from user. Okay, this is the SQL. They will try to make they understand the DB, and they will try to execute this and get the DB records and load it to ORM, and then the response is generated. Okay, now I will run the command vcon main app slash reload. Okay, you import, there is an import. So this import. Okay, see, so 4 lines, argument code must not be string. So where email. Code this is string. So imported it. Okay, done it. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. This is a method. So because of that, it was not able to understand. Now, yes. See, the application server is up and running. Now, if you wanted to load that, I will load the docs. You can see the APIs. I will before that, right here. See, now it tells us now DB connection is happened. Here, see the todo.db is been shown here. So we have successfully completed one thing. You are connected to the DB. Okay. So now you have not created a class, right? You have only created you are not created table. You have only created user. But in the DB you can see users. Okay. See, you can see now select star. It's not in readable format. See, email primary key. So now through ORM you are trying to create it. You have created successfully created a table into the DB, which is a todo.db. You by creating a Python class. How the things happened? It is the ORM under the hood which is trying to do those things. Do we need to understand everything at once? No, not exactly. But one by one, concept by concept, be clear. So now, what happened? Only thing you have only thing to understand from this class is like how you are trying to establish the DB connection. That is the one which you have successfully done it. And here you got a real time experience of using the dependence, because every time any API you need to call this method, right? You need to call this session local and engine. So instead of calling this again and again and again, you have written once and calling any n number of times. So dry concept is done using depends. That is the one which we have done, which we are discussing in previous class. We are connecting now. The again one, the base class. This is the actual ORM part. We'll discuss later. But now the things are. Now I will try to run this API here. I will create JP Joshi and JP at the rate email gmail.com. Okay. I will run execute it. See the ID one, everything. Now guys, congratulations, you are created a, you are inserted a record into the DB. See, you will now the response. Okay, execute. I will try to execute. There is no response. Oh, it is very strange. You have created the thing. Actually, you need to get on response. Okay, but here the DB has been created. Okay, the data has been created here. Let us see why the fetch query. So when I do this again, right, it will give the internal server error because validations, the same validation, it is same validations. If I do JP1, if I do execute, it will create. Because why? Because we have added a, we are telling, we have written a code where email should be unique. So it will raise an error. Okay. So one thing is done here. You are getting. Okay. Let us see the ChatGPT do the same, like return dot all, call it all. Okay, yes, yeah. So that's the one thing. Let me refresh it, and I have changed the thing. Call dot all. Yes. So now you guys have successfully done the two things where you have done the connection and you have created a post and also get all users. Any doubts, guys? Any doubt? Hello, hello. So, so this is how using fast API you are able, with the minimum things you are able to do the things. Uh, Now, this is how the real-time project works. Definitely not. You need to structure your project. But why we are not doing it the first means uh, to make the understanding more clear. Okay, later on when you do the project, these things and all, right? I will explain why we are doing it and why we are following the structure also. Okay, but now understand in everything we have added in the same page, which is definitely fine. But understand the key concepts like ORM and use of dependence and these things, create session, session local, session maker. I will discuss in the coming classes. But the main agenda for our live session is to create a, DB connection using the fast API, which is done. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for joining today. Tomorrow we will again connect and display. We'll see in detail explanation. Okay. Uh, Please forgive me for the background noise. Thank you guys. Thank you. Please look into this code, and we will be doing tons of applications. We will personally doing two to do application uh, manually from me. It is take it as granted, where we'll do authentication using a JWT. We will see refresh token, access token, what are all the difference, and later on we'll do the REST APIs, everything and all. Everything we'll do, we'll go step by step and all. Okay, please, for new joiners, I request them to subscribe and please follow all the live sessions. And yes, okay, keep learning. Have a nice day. Uh, Good night, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.